goats, roosters, a golden eagle, and whatever type of bird this is. Is this some sort of taxidermy farm? No, friends, this is art. And apparently, we need to take a bit of a dive into what Robert Rauschenberg called his combines. So, grab your overalls and let's get into it. Art lovers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Christopher West, and this is the place where we talk about all things modern and contemporary art and design. And at least for today, we're also going to talk about old tires, buckets, and this old broom. Yes, we're talking about Robert Rauschenberg, and he's probably the number one reason I got into this whole art thing, but I'll save that story till the end. Now we are going to talk about his combines, which he created between 1954 and 1964. And think about that for a moment. It's 1954, and all the glamorous people and the art intelligentsia are gushing over this. New York was now the center of the art world, and people were going crazy for paintings, specifically abstract, non-representational American paintings. And obviously the next younger generation had to fight back against this. And Rauschenberg was part of that next generation, and he rejected the angst of the abstract expressionist. He searched for a new form of expression and started creating these combines. The term combine was actually coined by Jasper Johns, who used it to describe Rauschenberg's integration of painting and three-dimensional objects. Quick aside here, MoMA says the term combine was initially coined by Jasper Johns. The Robert Rauschenberg Foundation's website says that Rauschenberg himself coined the term, so take that for what it's worth. But regardless, this is a sort of mashup between paintings and sculpture. Rauschenberg here is essentially reinventing collage. He changed it from the Matissean pretty picture to something very, very different. He enthusiastically embraced found materials like newspaper clippings, quilts, and taxidermied animals. Just as Pollock had questioned what art could be, Rauschenberg is now questioning the studio and blurring the lines between art and everyday life. Some of them give us a glimpse into the artist, like Untitled, Man with White Shoes, in the collection of Mocha, Los Angeles. Here he includes personal mementos, such as newspaper clippings about his family and a pair of his own white shoes. And we start to see elements he would use throughout his artistic career, like a parachute from this Untitled work in 1955. Rauschenberg would revisit the parachute in his performance Pelican from 1963. That's him wearing a parachute on roller skates. And we see it again in this triptych from 1968, which is called Autobiography. Probably the most famous combine is called Monogram from 1955, which he would continue to rework until 1959. It features a paint-daubed Angora goat sitting on a sort of pasture surrounded by urban debris. He had found the goat at a second-hand store on 7th Avenue in New York. The title is derived from the union of the goat and the tire, which reminded Rauschenberg of the interweaving letters in a monogram. These combines would go on to inspire the next generation of artists. Think Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein. Instead of found objects, these pop artists were using found imagery, and they created one of the most famous art movements of the 20th century. For me personally, Rauschenberg's combines aren't my favorite, but they opened up to me the possibility of art, that art just didn't need to be a pretty picture hanging on a wall. I think I was around 12 years old on a family trip to Washington, D.C. And we weren't an art family, having visited our local museum only a handful of times. But on this particular afternoon, I got to choose the museum we were going to go to. And for some reason, I didn't pick the Air and Space Museum or the National Zoo. I wanted to see modern art. And it just so happened that a Rauschenberg exhibit was on view. I had never heard of the artist, nor had any idea what we were in for. But to experience this work, to see all of the different materials, these paintings, these sculptures, collage. To this young Midwestern boy, these works of art were so fresh, and I had never seen anything like it. I remember going to the gift shop and begging my parents to buy me a poster from the exhibition, and I carried it home on the plane like it was the Mona Lisa. I didn't think about art or the idea of art as a profession until more than 15 years later. But that Rauschenberg exhibition sparked something within me, and little did I know at the time it would change the course of my life. So to that, I say thanks, Bob Rauschenberg. And hey, if you find this content even slightly interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm still pretty new here, but trying to get a little better each time. As always, I really appreciate you watching to the end, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Ciao!